Welcome to Midlife Reclaimed, the podcast for women ready to navigate midlife with more clarity, compassion, and energy. I'm Shannon A Swales, psychologist, writer, doggy mama, and midlife woman walking this path alongside you. Twice a month, we explore real stories, expert insights, and practical tools to help you move through chronic stress, overwhelm, and burnout so you can reclaim your voice, your boundaries, and your joy. Please remember what you hear here is general information, not a substitute for personal therapy. This isn't about midlife crisis, it's about midlife reclamation. So let's begin. Hi, and welcome back to Midlife Reclaimed. I am Shannon A Swales, and if this is your first time, welcome. Lovely to have you here. And for those who are coming back, thank you for continuing to show up and connecting with my work. Now, today's episode will lead on nicely from the last two episodes that have focused on rest. But don't worry if you haven't seen those episodes. Whilst I do recommend checking them out, you can watch this episode on its own and it'll be fine. So today's episode is actually on pacing. Now, if rest is about nourishing and replenishing our energy, pacing is about how we spend it. Now, if this had a title, like a job title, it would be Sustainable Energy Management. But I want us just to think about it as your budget for energy budget. Because just like your money, energy is a limited resource. And if we overextend in going into debt, for example, we are going to end up with exhaustion, fatigue, chronic stress, resentment, burnout. So let's dive into this topic of pacing and help you out here. Let's first explore what I mean by using your energy like a budget. Every day we wake up with a certain amount of energy in our tank, in our bodies. Some days you wake up with a full tank, or I don't know about you ladies, particularly midlife. I don't think my tank is ever full. But okay, let's just say some days it might be full, sometimes it's 75%, maybe sometimes it's 1%, or maybe it's in the minus as well. So if we're thinking about it like a bank account, that analogy I used earlier, that, some days we wake up already in overdraft, or some days we have some nice little nest egg in our account that we can use. But here's the thing, most people that I know and that I work with, including myself, do not think or evaluate ourselves in this way when we wake up in terms of this energy budget. Instead, we tend to analyze what we're capable of doing through this thing, which I heard recently being called the thinking box, which I thought was a lovely term. I think that was Dr. Katie Hill, who I interviewed on parental burnout. So check out her episode. She called this the thinking box, which I really adored. So I've adopted. So often when we're thinking about our to-do lists and what we have on for the day, the stuff that takes energy, we're often analyzing our capabilities, sometimes unconsciously, not necessarily consciously, based on that thinking box, based on those shoulds around what we think we can do or should be able to do, or beliefs around what is productive or possible. So often we're judging and analyzing our abilities based on this thinking box and those learned beliefs, those learned shoulds, expectations. And what happens when we're living through that thinking box and what she thinks we should be able to do, we actually miss the cues that our body is giving us around what is actually in our energy budget right now, because our body is the one that knows more accurately what we're capable of doing compared to this guy. So let's look at now, how does one start to pace themselves? Where I usually go with my clients, and I certainly did with myself to some extent as well, is start with awareness. we first want to look at where is our energy going? Where am I spending that budget? So it's a bit like coming back to that money analogy and budget. It's you're actually conducting a budget analysis, actually looking at where am I spending my money. I don't know about you, when I actually looked closely at where I'm spending my money, which wasn't a fun task for me at all, something I had been avoiding. It's not my forte, but I'm glad I've done it. You start to look, and there's these little things that amount up that you haven't really thought about as an ongoing expense. And so, yeah, this is where we want to start. To be able to pace, we first need to know what we're spending. So for a week or however long you can, a week probably the most, few days, and how detailed you want to go, let yourself be a guide. This is not about being perfect. You don't have to do a perfect energy budget here. It's just getting a sense, building that awareness. Where is my energy going? Now, when you're doing this, I recommend not only noticing those things that are very obvious, like, and often these are the things that we're doing, like the chores around the house or the stuff that we've got to do for the kids, the stuff that we do at work, at home, even the driving that you do as well, because that all requires energy. So these are things that I would be able to see you doing if I was following you the whole day, which would be weird. Uh, but also, the other thing that often people aren't aware of that I notice is the energy that I wouldn't see you consuming, but is happening. For example, the body functioning, like our breathing, our blood pumping, all that requires energy. So there's that, that I wouldn't see, but we know is going on. There's also what we are thinking, and particularly the thoughts that are quite provoking in terms of our feelings. So, for example, worrying about, the kids, or planning thoughts, which lots of midlife women do, because we have a lot of that cognitive load, mental load in the household. But like all of that stuff, like our thinking and where our thoughts go, require energy too, particularly the ones that trigger a lot of really strong emotions. That is because emotions also take energy as well. So, as you're probably seeing, you'd probably end up with maybe a Excel spreadsheet with, if you did a spreadsheet, which I know some people might want to do, probably 300 items or something like that, in terms of like those internal stuff, the stuff that I wouldn't see, but is taking expenditure, is costing you, is spending, but the external stuff as well. But again, it's not about perfection. Be as detailed as you want. It's just really building awareness. Where is my energy going? And just one other thing on this at this point is it doesn't matter if you like these things or dislike them or are neutral towards them at this point. It's just more about where that energy is going, because whether we like it or not, that activity, that task, that thing, it's still requiring our energy. So once you have that list, where to from here? That's what we're going to look at next. So, the next thing from building that awareness, knowing where your energy is going in your budget, we now are going to look at what in that list drains you, like depletes your energy. And this might be to varying degrees, to like 100% drains me and somewhat, so it'll be on that continuum somewhere. But just noticing in that list what drains you, but also what lifts you. What do you notice gives back to your energy budget? And you most likely will find out of a lot of those tasks that it's a bit of both. But again, this is really important to bring up awareness of what things or people or environments, places, because that will make a difference too. Just a side note, I notice like open plan office spaces will drain me more than they lift me. And that hasn't always been the case. It's just more so in, I think, my midlife. It drains me. So so take notice of the environments as well, because our body is always consuming things from our environment, noise, light, lots of things. Sound, I think I said that noise. But anyway, so that can be part of what in your energy expenditure drains you or spends your energy as well. But back to this. So this next step is really about looking at each task and noticing or each item on your energy budget and maybe putting another column how much it drains you and how much it lifts you. And like I said, it could be a bit of both, and that's okay. I'm just going to pause here for a moment to share something with you. If you've been listening and thinking, I wish I had a space where I could talk about this with people who truly get it, that's exactly why I created the Midlife Reclaimed community. It's a gentle, real, and supportive space for women navigating midlife. Whether you're facing chronic stress, overwhelm, burnout, or simply wanting to reconnect with yourself. We meet for live, weekly support circles, share reflective prompts, and learn together so you can feel seen, heard, and supported as you reclaim what matters most. You don't have to figure it all out alone. Visit shannonaswales.com/midlife-reclaimed-community to join us. Now let's get back to the episode. And then once we've got a picture of that, of what drains and what lifts you, then it's starting to look at rejigging that balance some way. Like with our budgets, if we've noticed, okay, we're spending way more than we're coming in, we start to rejig it to find hopefully more of a balance between the things that we've got going on that take our energy versus the things that give back and give us energy. So income versus expenditure kind of thing. So that what lifts us is income coming in, is energy coming in, and what drains us is that expenditure coming out. So that's spending. So hopefully that's making sense. And by knowing what actually lifts you, you know what is that income for you, and what drains you is those things that is energy expenditure. Now, I was just thinking off the top here with you might notice in your list that there's maybe things missing that take energy that you haven't written down as you go through this process. So just write them. One of the things that just came to my mind is that gives me a lot of energy is a nutritious diet, which I'm working really hard on at the moment. But it is something that lifts me. But the cooking part of it is not something that always lifts me. It really somewhat drains me. So anyway, but if there's other things that as you're thinking about what drains and what lifts you, and you're going through that list, and you're like, oh, there's this that lifts me, but it's not on the list. Write on the list as an something that takes your energy, because everything does. Eating does, exercise does, obviously. Everything requires our energy. Even sleeping requires our energy. Getting up in the morning requires our energy. Feeding our dogs require energy. It all does. So back to shifting that balance. So we're wanting to create a balance between, that incoming coming in with energy and that expenditure of energy going out. So start to look at where some changes can be made to help that balance be more aligned. And one thing comes to mind, I remember, and I still do this occasionally, that with my work emails that I had this habit, or still have this habit, where I check it regularly throughout the day. And I remember at my old job that I was doing that too. I was checking it regularly throughout the day. And of course, that requires my energy. But I was finding that draining. And in my rejigging of my energy budget, I decided to allocate time in the day, especially with my old job. I allocated time in a day. I just did it when I got in first at work, and then I think I did it once after lunch. And that way it was contained to a certain amount of time of the day. And for me, that lifted me more rather than drained me. May not for you. It's such a personal thing, because we are all unique in terms of our our neurotype, our just our bodies, what where our energy levels are out at. and what we will find will lift it and what will take it away. So really pay attention to this body as you experiment. But yeah, finding ways to rejig that balance. So, and this is where it can get pretty tough because it can be really hard to let go of some behavioral patterns and create some new ones. And there'll be some things that we can't let go of, like for logistical or reasons, like maybe the travel time to work. Well, that's just the reality, you know. But there might be ways to make that more enjoyable and less draining. I remember when I was doing long distance travel for work that I would choose to listen to music. And there was different type of music on my way to work versus on my way home that I found lift me rather than drained me. So yeah, so where you can't change something, how can I make it more energizing for me if possible? And that made me think of another example, like chores at home. Not a fan. Who is? Like I know some people really quite enjoy cleaning, and that's not me. So that's cool that would be on the lifting for some people, but for me it drains me. However, one of the things that I do now, like when I do the washing, and I quite enjoy it now, I must say, it lifts me so much so if my partner goes to do it, I'm like, no, 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 it's I mean, I'm kind of like, that's cool, do it, because I don't want him not to ever do it. But I really enjoy it because it's that rest time away from my mental work, something we talked about in the previous episodes. But it's also, it lifts me because yeah, get that mental break from my work that requires a lot of my thinking box. My washing doesn't require me to think, it just requires me to move and sort. And it's also time in the sun. I'm lucky that I live here in sunny Queensland, which is sunny most of the time, raining the rest of it. But it's beautiful to be out there and absorb that sun. So I really savor that part of it and lifts me and that mental break. So it's actually something that's become lifting for me. So hopefully that gives you a few examples how those tasks that you can't take off your list could actually be shift to something more lifting for you energy wise when there's a focus on other aspects of it that is beneficial for you. So, just one little bit on this area of exploring what lifts and drains you. I just, with that shifting the balance, there's other things to think about too as you're looking at where you can shift the balances. So, things like setting boundaries. And I know boundaries are difficult, and maybe I should really do an episode on that. But setting boundaries definitely can be really helpful here in shifting that balance between what drains and what lifts you. For me, one of the things that both lifts and drains me is social. So it's something that I've put boundaries around in terms of how much I do it. I'm that socializing because I get peopled out really easy, but also making sure I have that in my budget because it's something that actually gives me energy as well. So boundaries is really important. Delegation is important too. And I just had a thought recently. We've had the task as a family to apply for a car loan. And of course, this is extra work, more than I actually thought. So more load. And so I delegated a couple of the jobs with the car loan to my partner because, well, he's part of the family and an adult. So off he went to do his share of it, and I did the rest of the share rather than doing it all myself. So delegation, where possible, do. That's another important one. I already talked about changing your approach to the task, with my chores, washing, putting the washing on the line example. And of course, build in more, especially if the balance is more in favor of what drains you rather than what lifts you. Restore that balance of what nourishes you. And this makes me actually think about when I was burnt out, my balance, my budget, obviously really, really bad. I was definitely in debt, probably up into my ears, like millions of dollars, which is scary when you think about it. But that's how bad it was that all I could do because I was off work, I literally couldn't work. And what I thankfully consciously chose was to do things that nourished me. So I went to therapy, I spent a lot of time in nature. I actually withdrew from lots of things just so I could just nourish myself, and gentle exercise, spending time with my loved ones who didn't expect anything from me. So I mean, I was lucky and very privileged to be in that position to be able to do that. But yes, that just gives you an idea of, the importance of doing those things that nourish you. But even the little nourishing moments will add up. So if you don't have that luxury or the ability to step back, just adding some nourishment into your budget will go a long way. And again, I just want to stress this is not about perfection. It's not about getting this exactly right. We do the best we can with what we have. It's just about being really consciously aware of what we're spending and what we're bringing in. So once we have this beautiful analysis, this beautiful budget of an awareness now of where our energy is going and what we find lifts us and drains us, and starting to rebalance and find that pace, find that um, medium. And it's never, I should say, it's never a straight line. It'll be this, like just like our financial budgets, right? It's never like always stable. It's up and down, and it's about our awareness of that and doing our best to flex and to rejig where possible that expenditure so we can find a pace that works for us so we're not feeling so drained and exhausted that we're pushing but we're feeling just the opposite, or running like a chook with its head cut off um, all the time. So we're finding our pace through that energy match more often. So once we have that, and we've done that deep reflection analysis and we're starting to find that pace, it's really great to proactively check in with ourselves on a daily basis to start to really get into that habit of checking in on an energy basis rather than what our thinking box thinks we should be able to do. So I encourage my clients, but also myself, especially in those early stages when we're putting this new behavior in place, just to ask ourselves, where is my energy at today when we wake up? What am I noticing? It might help you to give it a number, like a 0 to 10, with 10 being full tank, zero not at all. Whatever numbers you want to use, you might want to use percentages. I've had some clients draw a chart, or a battery, and even batteries for different areas of their life, and how much energy that is stored in one battery compared to another, or what they want to spend. Anyway, whatever you want to do, it's up to you. But really, the point here is that we just want to really help that brain to learn this new habit. So consciously choosing for a while till it becomes second nature, to go, hey, yeah, where's my energy at today? And then when we get a bit of an idea of where your energy is at, then also look at, okay, what is on my expenditure list today? What do I notice that, externally, what I've got going on, but also internally as well? Just, noticing where that energy is going to go to. And if there is a bit of I suppose, a deficit that you can foresee and perceive in the day based on where that energy's levels at and what you've got to spend that day, rejigging where you can, in terms of finding that balance. Like, can I delegate a task, or can that be left till next week? Can I, put some boundaries around my day just to help support me? It might be a boundary around, no, I'm definitely going to go and have that coffee with a friend. I'm going to protect that because I really need that nourishment. Or it might be like I have an event to go to, but it's really not necessary, or it'll be totally fine if I cancel it and cancel that. But, so rejigging what you can, or can I face the day, in a different way, that uh, looking at it through a different lens, like my washing idea, like, what is the benefit, that I'm getting, or how can I treat myself throughout that day that will help support me through that day, give me a bit of nourishment, like a really, and I had a guest recently, I've had a couple of guests talk to this, compassion. Compassion is such a lovely companion to have with us to support us throughout the day. Compassion is the part of us that notices that this is difficult, this is hard, we've got a lot on today, a lot of expenditure, and there's not really any wriggle room. But compassion notices that suffering and it does what it can to support. And it might be just some kind words, that acknowledgement that this is tough, this is hard, but I've got you back. So instead of the thinking box going, yep, see, you're not coping, or you should be able to do this, that kind of mean kind of teacher, or mean kind of person, you've got more of a compassionate guide that's supporting you throughout the day. So, yeah, feel like I might have gone off track there a little bit. But coming back, like a day-to-day practice to explore our energy. Where is it at? From a body perspective, not the thinking box. Look at what we have got on for the day, and then putting into practice some of those balancing things to hopefully help that even out that budget for the day if possible. But if even can't be done, just seeing how we can approach the day. And I use compassion as a companion there to help support you throughout the day to find a pace that at least your nervous system might really thank you for later. I'm just going to pause here for a moment to share something with you. If you'd like to keep up to date with what I'm working on in the world of midlife and burnout, I invite you to join my mailing list. It's where I share updates on the resources, events, and services I offer to help you navigate midlife stress, overwhelm, and burnout with more ease and clarity. As a thank you, you'll receive my free guided journal, Journaling as a Way Back to Yourself, a gentle, at your own pace, reflective practice to slow down, listen inward, and reconnect with what matters most. You'll also get a couple of extra resources to support you in your inbox after your journal arrives. You can sign up via the link in the show notes or at shannonaswales.com/subscribe. So now back to the episode. Now, the last thing I want to explore with you today in this topic of pacing and, creating our energy budget and, to help us find a pace that works for us more often than not, is what often my clients will say to me when we're exploring this. But am I just being lazy? Am I letting myself off the hook by doing this, by being this way? And also some thoughts around making them feel like they're less of a person, or not successful, or not productive enough. And this is where I often pause with my clients and we have a chat about the culture in which we're born into, the family in which we're born into, the society we're born into. And as we become adults and stuff, maybe the industry culture that we're in, or even down to the team level. But generally, at least in the Western culture, we have glorified busyness. We have glorified constantly doing as a sense of making us worthy as human beings. So when we do start to do things like pace and energy budgets, our thinking box will go, whoa, you're being lazy, or you're not good enough, or things like that, based on that cultural learning. And this stuff, can I just say, when we're born into this world, that doesn't exist in the thinking box. It has been filtered in. So we have a choice. You can certainly choose to go with your thinking box. If you feel that that's a good use of your energy, go for it. But I don't know about you, it's not a good use for my energy. It doesn't fit reality, which is that I'm a human being, a ball of energy that has only so much to give, and often a lot less to give in midlife because, well, as women in midlife, we're often going through perimenopause, which in and of itself, write that on your list, ladies, too, because that requires a lot of energy because it is a neuroendocrine event. So your hormones, your brain are going through massive changes. You're experiencing, some of you might be experiencing all of the symptoms or some of them or none at all, but you're still going through it. So that should be on your energy list as well. That does certainly drain us. Anyway, I feel like I got off track, but that we're not born with this thinking. It is created and it's not based on reality. So personally, I wouldn't choose to continue to hold on to that belief system about you choosing to work with your energy as lazy or somehow you're not a productive or successful person. And yes, some people may end up thinking that of you. But again, can't control that. Or not again. That is something we can't control. People are going to people and judge no matter what. Often it says more about them and what's going on for them than it does about you. But you have control of what you choose to do for yourself. And I want you to do what actually supports you, helps you find a pace that works for you, helps you find a balance that works for you. Even though, it can be topsy-turvy, it's not like balance, but, something that works for you. So, yeah. So I just want to say here, like a healthy person, a person who is able to find a pace, is able to meet their energy requirements mostly, is someone who knows their limits, knows their strengths as well, and knows that things are going to look different every day. They understand that they're human first and foremost, not some sort of machine or robot or superhuman, that, I mean, robots exist, but the other things, they don't exist. Robots and machines do, but we are human. We are a ball of energy. So a person who is able to find pace and spend their energy wisely, they really know their limits. They really identify that. They're acknowledging of that, even if it's hard. But they also recognize their strengths as well, and just recognize they're imperfectly perfect humans. So in closing, I just really encourage you to give this a go, to explore this just step by step, maybe starting with that awareness and doing a budget, and then moving into that stage of exploring what drains you, what lifts you, then looking at that balance rejigging and seeing what you can do to help bring a bit more of a pace, a balance to your life. And if that good old thinking box wants to say that you're being lazy or not productive or won't be seen as good enough or worries what other people think, just come back to really understanding your humanness, that you are just human, which is really beautiful. You're not a machine, you're not a robot, and you deserve your kindness and you deserve your love. And this will go a long way to helping you achieve that. Thank you so much for tuning in today. It's been a pleasure sharing this wisdom, this knowledge with you. And I just wish you all the wellness in the world, and take care, take gentle care of you, and bye for now. Thanks for listening to Midlife Reclaimed. I hope today's conversation has reminded you that you are not alone and that change is possible even in the busiest seasons of life. If you enjoyed this episode, please follow, rate, or review the podcast and share it with another midlife woman who might need it. For more resources on navigating midlife stress, overwhelm, and burnout, along with reflective writing prompts and community connection, visit shannonaswales.com. You can also watch full episodes on YouTube at Midlife Reclaimed. Remember, you have permission to slow down, to rest, and to reclaim what matters most. See you again soon.